Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. And before we jump into our conversation, if you would like to support the podcast, please go to convome.com/support. There, you'll be able to buy me a coffee, or for additional perks, you can become a monthly supporter. Thank you again for listening to the podcast, and on to the episode. My guest this week is Angie White, and she runs the Etsy shop, The Celebration Bird. In addition to running her Etsy shop, she has also come out with a brand new course called Your Eshop Makeover. And I really wanted to have Angie on the podcast because I have gone through the course and I think it's phenomenal. It's very focused on helping you get the branding of your e-shop exactly on point. And so we're going to talk about that. But before that, I want to introduce you to Angie. So Angie, thank you for being my guest on the podcast and welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So first of all, how would you describe yourself and what you do on Etsy? Are you a maker? Are you an artist? Are you, something else?
I would say more of a designer.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm a crafter. I make printables basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take clip art and, images, and I will put them together into a printable. I design things that are really more for holidays and celebrations. So it's a very seasonal shop. I have things for pretty much all of the different holidays. And games and greeting cards, things like that. So it's all just designing each of the printable items.
Okay. What drew you to Etsy? Was it because you were a designer and you wanted to sell your designs, or did you just kind of fall into it? Like folks told you you need to be selling this on Etsy?
I got started on Etsy just it was really on purpose. I have been into designing and really beautiful things for a really long time. I've always loved to create activity pages for friends to do. When I was in high school, well over 20 years ago, I literally was drawing out activity pages for them by hand just because it was so fun for me. They would actually do them too. But ever since then, I've had things in my day job that have really been a creative, doing things with layouts and marketing and things like that. And so it was just one of those things where I wanted to have some sort of a side income. I didn't really necessarily want anything that would turn into a full-time job. I just wanted some side income. And so I discovered a course about how to make printables, and I took that course, and it kind of changed my world. I opened up at the end of 2020, and it just kind of took off from there, making these printables, because when I'm feeling good about what I'm doing, it comes across in the printables, and then other people get excited about them too and purchase them.
Yeah. How did you decide what printables to start offering? Because the world of printables is so vast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I really wanted to do something that I would be really excited about. And I love to host people in my home. I love to celebrate things. I love to throw a good party. I'm really good at throwing parties. And what I wanted to do was just have a seasonal shop that would have things that people would need for a specific celebration, hence my name, The Celebration Bird. And so that's how I decided to make what I'm making, is simply by looking at, first of all, you have to look at the market too. You can't just make what you love. You have to look to see what is going to sell.
Yeah.
So I looked to see what was going to sell first, and then I made things that I was going to love around that. And it really has been a great thing for me to be able to just enjoy what I'm doing as my side hustle, to be able to create all of this fun stuff for celebrations that I can use myself as well.
Yes. Did you, in your research, because it sounds more like, okay, you picked something to focus on that would be fun for you and fulfilling for you, but did you also do any kind of keyword research to find out what specific products within what you wanted to do to focus on, or did you just go for what brought you joy?
Oh, I have done extensive keyword research.
Okay.
It is the backbone of my entire shop.
Mm.
And I personally use eRank. I know you like Sales Samurai. Both are great products. I
They
saw
are.
that.
Yes.
But I know that both are really great products and they both will help you achieve the same thing where you're just doing a ton of keyword research,
Yeah.
because you cannot have an Etsy shop without knowing what keywords and how to do SEO and how to make your listings even be shown. Just because something's on Etsy doesn't mean that it's going to sell. So
Yeah.
you can't go to Etsy and look to see what's on there and then, try to be inspired by it and make that. You have to actually go in and do the research first
Yeah.
to determine if the products that you even want to make are viable for being sold.
Yes. And to just tack on to what you said about, yeah, I do use Sales Samurai more now. I had Anthony Wolf, I think. Yeah, Anthony Wolf from eRank on the podcast. And for anyone
Hmm.
who is stuck trying to decide between the two, because they kind of function the same way for keyword research. And I do have eRank as well. eRank gives you data in a more visual way. So there are um, colors, and it's easy to kind of look and see what works. If you're more visual, eRank is great. If you just want numbers and just tell me what the numbers are saying and what they're doing, and I will look at that. That's how Sales Samurai presents the information. And I've compared the two, and they're actually pretty similar. Like the numbers, they don't exactly always match, but they generally give you this similar information. So one doesn't necessarily need to have both, but if you're trying to decide on which of the two, because I know sometimes people get tripped up, like, what do I use for getting stuck on picking a tool should not be what's holding you back.
Absolutely. I actually have used both of them myself, and they are pretty similar in terms of the data I found as well.
Yes.
And I'm such a data person. It's really important to me that the data I'm looking at is actually valid. And
Mm-hmm.
so by looking at both of them and seeing that both of them were giving me pretty much the same information, it
Mm-hmm.
was just a personal preference.
Yeah.
So both are going to give you exactly what you need. You don't
Yes.
need to like you said, you don't need to be hung up on which one.
Yeah.
You just pick one and go with it.
Yes. Yes. Um, when you first started on Etsy, um, did you know much about the community, and did you have any feelings one way or another, either of trepidation or excitement about joining the Etsy community as a seller?
Oh, I didn't have any issues at all joining it. I mean, I've known about Etsy since it almost began. So
Yeah.
I've been a personal shopper on Etsy for a very long time,
Okay.
long before I ever became a seller.
Yeah.
So I had no problems with it. And on the printable side, because it's it's such a low barrier of entry,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to cost me to list my item is, my 20 cents to list it. And um, it's really not very much money that I would be out if it failed. So I was just like, I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost me a ton of money to invest into a new business.
Yes.
It's really, like I said, low barrier of entry. And it Etsy was a great place to do it because they have the great thing about Etsy is that they bring the customers to you. You don't have to find your own customers. They've got a built-in base that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can take advantage of that. And I knew that going into it. I was excited to be an Etsy seller.
Oh, nice. Um, what does your typical day look like? So I know you have a day job, but when it comes to running your Etsy shop, how do you fit that into your regular schedule, and what priority do you give that in, the grand scheme of everything else you do in your life?
Yeah. So for the first year that I was doing this, I was very focused on creating things in advance of the season. So, I would want to make sure that my Christmas stuff was up before November or in the beginning of November. So I was just going literally through the entire year getting every single holiday or like event like graduation season, things like that, trying to get the printables up before those so that they would be available for people to purchase. And so my first year was pretty labor intensive. I spent anywhere from, in the beginning, especially as I was figuring out how to do it all, it took a lot longer, but in the beginning, I was spending maybe 20 hours a week on it. About mid-year, I was probably maybe 10 hours a week on it. And it's something where I would just come home from work, have my dinner, and then sit down, watch some TV, and just be creating my printables while I was watching TV. So it was just, it was kind of, it's a relaxing thing for me too, to do it. So it's just it's a fun hobby that I happen to be able to make money at.
Yeah.
And now, because I created the course, obviously I couldn't also, with my day job taking up my normal amount of time, I could not also work on my printable store and also build the course. So when I say that I've really ignored my store since January, I'm not even joking. Like, I even forgot to run sales and things like that. I completely ignored my store.
Wow.
And because it's printables, it's hands off. It legitimately is it's just passive income at that point in time.
Yeah.
I would respond to customers, obviously, who sent a message asking a question. But other than that, I just have been able to make money without doing anything in my shop.
That's just phenomenal. I mean, to
Yeah.
be able to run a business that you front load the work for sure. And
Yep.
then after that, it's truly passive. Well, except for, customer support, which
Right.
is not usually, hopefully, not too bad.
Yeah, no, and it's not bad at all. And in my day job, I was a customer service manager for so many years. Like, it's nothing at all to do customer support. It's not a big deal at all to me.
Yeah. What's your graphic design tool of choice?
I prefer Canva.
Okay.
I have used like Photoshop and Illustrator as well, but because the course that I took about how to create printables was very Canva focused, I just kept going with Canva.
Okay.
So, and the great thing about Canva too is that there's all sorts of community around Canva, and people who have no like design background, like learning any of the Adobe suite is really intensive.
Yeah.
And it's way more difficult to learn those than it is to learn Canva.
Yeah.
And Canva, you can get started really quickly on it.
Yeah.
And so I also wanted to have a program that I had in mind that I was probably going to do something in the future with a course, because I actually have a degree in education, special education and elementary education. I'm not a teacher, but I have that as a degree. So I knew that eventually I'd probably want to do some teaching. And so knowing that Canva allows things like the templates that you can share, and that it's easy to teach about it and it's easy for people to pick up quickly and it's not going to cost people a lot of money. That's why I wanted to really focus on using Canva.
Angie, now I understand it because you have a degree in teaching, and that just makes so much sense because you were so easy to learn from. Like, just the way you explain things and very step by step, and your demonstrations, and then the materials you provided. And I know I'm getting into your course already, but it's just that good.
Thank you.
Let's talk about it because I don't want to lose track of that. So Angie has created a course called Your Eshop Makeover. This is not a how to sell on Etsy course. It's very focused on helping you get the branding of your eShop together. And so Angie, let's talk about it. What exactly are you? I know, but I want you to tell that person listening, what exactly are you teaching in this course?
I am teaching how to do absolutely everything that you need to know about branding your shop. It's going to take you through everything from like the building blocks of the things that you need to know to be even able to do any of this. So things like some basics, like design basics, some Canva basics, some font basics. It's going to teach you those building blocks. And then from there, you go on to create a brand board, which is going to be something that you can refer back to anytime you're going to do any sort of branding thing. It's going to have your colors on it. It's going to have your fonts, things like that. And then from there, you design your Etsy shop icon and logo. You're going to customize your Etsy shop banners. And those are the really big things that all of your customers see when they come to your shop. And then also building your Etsy shop listings. There's some additional things that people can be doing with their listings. So Etsy tells us that, you've got so many pictures that you can be putting on, and a lot of people don't use all those pictures. So things like you can have an introductory slide on a picture, I guess, introductory picture in your listings so that you can tell people who you are. And that is when I started doing that. This is just a total side note. When I started putting that in my listings, I had a lot more people reaching out like I'm a person, not just this faceless company.
Right.
And so it really gets your customers connected to you as a person, and they want to support people. And then, so we're going back to my course, sorry, get really excited about that one. And then after you build your listings, crafting your Etsy shop story, and then also all of the text that you have to write as well. So it takes you literally step by step, front to back of everything that in your Etsy shop that you can customize to really put your brand spin on it and to really shine through as a brand. And I created it because as a seller, I would look around at other shops, and there's so many that I thought could really use some additional assistance with their branding because it just wasn't clear. It wasn't cohesive. A lot of people miss doing their shop story. And I'm so passionate about making sure that that who I am is communicated in my shop. And I felt like other people really could use that assistance as well.
And I have to say, you did just a phenomenal job of doing that, because I've always looked at stores that have a cohesive look where everything just flows right from when you enter the shop, from the banner down to the listings. And I thought, how in the world are they able to pull it all together? But going through your course, you demystify how to do that. Like, you break it down into steps, starting from picking your brand colors and the aesthetic that you want your shop to have. I did those exercises, and so I'm a course junkie myself. and sometimes some courses will lose you early on because you get in there wanting to learn one thing, and they kind of take you off down a path that it's so windy. You're like, can we just get to the meat of it? But right from the very beginning, you do that, and it's very engaging. And I was able to, what I did was I went through the whole thing so I knew the road ahead. And then I've gone back to actually start doing, because for me, I like to know the whole journey. Then I know, what I'm going to be doing down the road. And you did such a good job of that. And one of the tools that you use is Canva. And for anyone who doesn't have Canva, or if you don't know what it is, it's a graphic design tool, and you don't have to pay for it. One of the things Angie is really good about is showing you how to use it without having to use any of the premium features that you would have to pay for. And so Angie, do you want to talk about some of those workarounds that you recommend for those who don't necessarily want to subscribe to another paid tool, but can still use it to accomplish what they need to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly why I love Canva, is because there is a free version, and all of the templates that I created used all free elements in them. So there's over 148 templates or something like that. for you to take and turn into your own banners or your own listing images, things like that. And every last bit in there is a free item. And so I wanted to make it so that you wouldn't have to at all subscribe to Canva Pro. I mean, Canva Pro has a lot of great features. And if you're going to be doing any sort of design or any sort of creating any sort of printables or anything like that, it's great to get the Canva Pro. But if you're just going to do this as a one-time thing because you don't have anything to do with digital items, and you're just going to be doing your shop makeover in it, all you need is the free version. And there's so many free graphics. There's so many free fonts, so many free items within Canva that there's absolutely no reason for you to have to pay anything else for doing your brand makeover in your shop.
Yes. And if you're unfamiliar with Canva, Angie's course has videos where she walks you through, and Angie's a teacher. She really is. And a really good one, because she'll demonstrate exactly how to use the features in Canva, just what features you need to focus on. She doesn't take you down a rabbit hole with things you don't need to do. And then in each video tutorial, she shows you how to do different things, like how to position the elements on your image, how to change the colors, and little tips along the way. I use Canva, and I loved when you would share little tips, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know that this functionality existed within the tool. So that was really helpful. In addition, you have some swipe files. What about can you share about what the swipe files are and how I want to say users. What do you call the people who take courses? Course takers can use them.
Students.
Students. Thank you.
Yeah. So with some of the swipe files that I have are messages to buyers. So something that a lot of people don't pay attention to is what happens. So what happens after someone makes the sale? There's a spot on Etsy where you can put in the message to the buyer. And so I gave you some examples of things that you could do. And literally all you have to do is just copy paste it and you change your own information. And it's just basically thanking people for making a purchase, and anything else that you want to say about yourself, any discount coupon codes you might have for them, any instructions, things like that. So I just wanted to make it as simple as possible for you to be able to just not have to sit there and think about how to write or word out what you wanted to say. And so I give you like all sorts of, in addition to swipe files, I give you also some worksheets so that you can think through how to do the various elements within your shop that I can't actually give you, like written material. So every last bit that you need to do is guided, whether it's a video or it is a swipe file or it is a worksheet. Everything you need to do is absolutely guided for you.
Yes. And I like that it's all really accessible. I would print out the worksheets and then I would go, I fill out the worksheets or do what was being asked, because for me it just I like to pretend. I shouldn't say pretend because I don't really know. So like when somebody knows what they're doing, I just follow along. Like I don't what's the word when you you're going to help me with my English today, Angie. When you improvise. So just following along the steps, I was able to come up with brand colors and you put together a brand kit, and have those together, and everything just feels like it's going to just work, because now I understand a bit more about color theory, and hopefully saying color theory doesn't intimidate anyone. It's not that fancy. It really is just figuring out what colors go well together and then keeping them all together throughout your entire brand.
Yes, absolutely. And I also give you design basics too, which I think is really important for people who feel like they can't do these things in Canva because they're not designers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important for people to know that you totally can. It's not a big deal. Design is not this big mystical thing. I give you some really important points like white space, and if I could tell one thing to every single person on this planet that does any sort of design, it's to use your white space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, especially in printables, when you're starting out, especially who don't use white space appropriately, and it's something that is so helpful for your designs is to just give room for everything to breathe around it.
Yeah.
And so like I do things like that. I tell you and I show you, I demonstrate exactly this is how this design element works, and this is why, like a balance, for example, how to look at balance on your page
Mm-hmm.
or on your design and make sure that it just looks good. Design is just basically about making things look good. And if you are an Etsy seller, I'm pretty sure that you already know how to make things look good. So you already have the design within you. You just need to know a little bit about some of the elements that really help it make it look really polished.
Yeah. I love the lesson on white space because it made so much sense to me. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's why things
Mm-hmm.
look visually pleasing to the eye sometimes and sometimes they don't, is because of the white space theory. And I thought that was a good one. Now, is your eShop makeover specifically only geared toward printable sellers, or can handmade, vintage, supply sellers all benefit from it?
Oh, everyone on Etsy can benefit from it. It is definitely not just for printable sellers. There's so much in it that is for everyone, and everyone's branding is the exact same. Like there's nothing that's unique about being a printable shop versus being a crafter or whatever other type of a shop that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's shop elements are the exact same. So all of this is designed for every single Etsy owner to be able to use it and brand their own shop. For
Yeah.
example, on the templates, I have some templates that are designed for people that sell printables to put their actual like pictures of their printables in the templates,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can have a banner showing off some of your printables. However, I also have ones that have these spots for images to go into. So people who, they'll make some jewelry. They can take a picture of their jewelry. They put it into the actual banner. So
Yes.
there's spots for thinking of every single seller out there. There's spots for every seller to take something and create it and make it their own. It is not just for printable sellers, it's for everyone.
Yes. I agree. Um, for once we have our branding together, and this is going more back to you as an Etsy seller, um,
Mhm.
how best can we promote what we're doing on Etsy? Um, are there ways beyond just putting our listings up that we can use to attract more buyers to our shops?
Oh, there absolutely is, but I think that it's really important to get your Etsy SEO down pat.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the thing that is going to bring you the most traffic, at least initially, until you build up a brand of your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's the starting point. You have to have good Etsy SEO. However, beyond that, and I can tell you that I don't do anything other than that in my Etsy shop. Not
Mm-hmm.
even joking. I do have a Pinterest page, but I stopped doing that after a while because I really wasn't getting any results. And it's such a drain on my time and resources.
Yeah.
It just wasn't really doing much for me. So when I say that my shop has been entirely because of Etsy SEO, I truly mean that. However, there's still a lot that I could be doing. If I did this full time, or if I had more time in my day, I would totally do additional things like an email list. I do collect emails,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really use them. I'll be totally honest. I should, but I don't.
Yeah.
Things I know I should be doing. Okay.
Yes.
And so emailing to your email list is a really good one. Also, any of the social medias obviously can bring people back into your shop. Pinterest is a really good one because Pinterest is also a search engine tool. It's not just a social media. It's like a search engine. So people will search for things.
Mm-hmm.
So Pinterest is actually a good one over the long term, but you kind of got to put a lot of work into it for the long haul. I know some people that have made, $10,000 a month based on people coming to them from Pinterest. So it totally can work. It totally is something that is worth doing if you have the time. But if you're going to pick one thing to do, and it's either going to be doing a social media, like Pinterest, if you're going to be doing Pinterest, or getting your Etsy SEO in order, I would definitely say get your Etsy SEO in order first, because that's going to be the most hands off for you. Because once you set it, you can forget it. And that's really what I preach a lot, is just get your SEO correct.
Yeah. Did you go to any specific source to learn it, or you was what Etsy provides in their help center and the seller handbook sufficient?
So both. So the Printables course that I took actually has a lot about keyword research and Etsy SEO. So I learned the basics there, and then the rest was just reading through Etsy's material as well. And so I did get it from both sources. It was really helpful to, at the beginning, just have someone tell me what to do. And then I could do more research as time went on.
Okay. And for anyone who's interested in selling printables, can we talk about what that course was and how folks can get access to that if it's possible?
Yeah, it is probably the best course I've ever taken. And it is my one true love. I'm not
Oh.
even joking you. And the online world, this is my jam. And so Gold City Ventures has an ePrintables course, and it was absolutely instrumental. It gave me every single thing I needed to be able to sell on Etsy, and make money from printables. Their course is so comprehensive and so full of every last detail that you need. It was wonderful. The other really great thing about this Printables course is that they have an online Facebook group that is probably the most supportive and helpful group in all of Facebook land. It might not be, but it really does feel that way. I've been a member since the very beginning. And if you have a question, all you have to do is ask it in the course, and someone's going to jump in. There's so many people that have been through it before all of these people that are new and starting out. And so many people have great answers to questions. It is a really, really supportive group of people in there. And I can't even tell you like how much I love this course, how much I love this group of people. I've made some friends through it, and it's really what got me started on my Etsy journey. And I couldn't be more grateful for all the information that I got from it.
Wow, that is such a glowing review. I haven't done this particular course, but I'm aware of it, but I haven't done it yet. So that was in 2020, because that's when you started selling. Do they update it and keep it like, what's the word? Refresh the content and make changes based on things that are going on Etsy and in the printables world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They do. They just did a recent update where they took down some items that weren't going to be as big of sellers on Etsy anymore. Back when they first put them up, they were bigger Etsy sellers. Now they're not. So they swapped them out with things that are going to sell more on Etsy these days. And they give you templates and things to get you started really quickly. And then also, if you remain a member of the group, then you also get a monthly new set of templates. So every single month you get a new set of templates that you can customize and put in your shop, and it's all included.
Oh, wow. I think I might have to look into that. Actually, I recently just started getting into the world of PLR, and that's how I found you. I don't think I told you that. I don't think I told you how I found you.
No, I had no
Yes.
idea.
Yes, and I'll sift through my emails after we finish this to tell you specifically who it was. But I got an email, and again, that's a reminder for you and I, use your emails
Yep.
from someone, and and I don't always read everything. Usually I'll just browse. But funnily enough, I had just been saying to myself, I really need to rebrand and just change the look of my shop. Well, I have multiple ones, but none of them look, anything like, they don't have a cohesive look. They're just all over the place. And this email came in, and it was talking about your course, and she said the Etsy shop makeover. I'm like, I want a makeover. And so I read her write up, and then I went over to your site, and that was how I got introduced to you. And I just thought, yes, this is what I need. And I think for any other seller, if you're listening to this and you just feel like your brand needs a refresh, or like you don't have a clear brand for your shop, I really highly encourage you to take a look at Angie's shop. It's your Eshop makeover. I'll have a link to it in the show notes for this episode. But you can check it out and see, and feel free to ask me questions if you don't want to purchase it without getting all the information you need. And of course, Angie, if anyone has questions for you about the course, how can they connect with you to get those answered?
Yeah, so you can just go to my website. There's a contact page there. And then I would typically respond within 24 hours, if not much sooner. I'm pretty fast about getting back to my emails. So I'm always happy to talk with people about my course or anything really. It's thecelebrationbird.com.
Yes.
And then you can just go contact from there.
Yes. All right. When you get a new idea, like, how did you, I know you mentioned that when you first opened your shop, you had the idea that you did want to do a course. How did you, or why, I guess, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. Like, when I open an Etsy shop, the last thing I'm thinking about is I want to teach other people how to do this one day, because I'm just trying to make it through to figure it out myself. How did you know that you wanted to teach a course, and how did you decide that it was going to be branding specifically?
Yeah, so I didn't know it was going to be branding at the beginning. I knew that I probably wanted to get into teaching a course or courses in the future because I love taking them myself, and I've taken good ones, and I've taken ones that could use a little bit less talking, honestly. And I knew that I could create a really good course that would just get straight to the point of what people needed, and nothing more, nothing really that extraneous. And so I knew that I really could do well with this, and that again, I'm not trying to make this a full-time job, because I legitimately love what I do in my day job. But I also love having this hobby where I get to teach people things. It's so different than my day job, and it's something that just, it speaks to a creative spot in myself. And so I knew I wanted to do something where I was teaching something, but I didn't know what it was until really around the end of last year. And I was looking around just trying to figure out, what do I want to teach? And then I'm thinking, going through the process of, what am I passionate about? I'm really passionate about design, really passionate about making things look beautiful. And I started just thinking about, what is it that's not even in this course space? And there's a lot of things that, I thought about, but someone else already had a really great course about it. So I didn't, like, why am I going to reinvent the wheel? The one thing I couldn't find anything on was Etsy shop branding. And that just fits so perfectly with what my heart loves. Just the design and making things beautiful. And I was just like, this is it. This is what I have to teach on, because no one else is really teaching a course dedicated just to branding your entire Etsy shop. And I'm like, I know I can do this well. And it really is something that I'm so passionate about and that I love. So I've got to do this.
And you did it so well, I have to say. I know I feel like I keep saying that, but I take a lot of courses. And a couple of weeks ago, I said to myself, okay, you have to do something. You can't just keep hoarding all these courses. So I made a spreadsheet I love spreadsheets. I made a spreadsheet for
Yeah.
myself of all the courses that I hadn't yet touched. I'll give you one guess at what that number was, and I'm appalled, I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. I don't
Yes.
know, maybe 10? Is it more
64.
than that? What?
Yes.
Sorry, that was really loud. I'm very sorry.
I'll tone it down in the editing. Yes, and I was shocked at myself, and I almost wanted to cry because that's a lot of information to not have
Mm-hmm.
used. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said to myself, okay, going forward, I'm going to go through everything and make sure I do something with each of those. So like say with yours, make sure I go and rebrand my Etsy shop so I know I accomplished what it was I set out to do. And I've forgotten why I went down that road, but it will come back to me and I'll get back to that point. But before I do, what are some of the things that you can say you did that helped set you up for success on Etsy that you can share with someone else listening now who maybe might be struggling to hit their stride?
Yeah, I would say doing things that you can do well. So your product has to be good, first of all. So if you're struggling, make sure that your product is a good product.
Mhm.
Second thing is making sure that your listing images are good. That's what people are going to see visually. They're going to do a search in Etsy. The first thing that they're going to see is your first image, and they're just going to scroll by if it doesn't capture their attention. So, what is it about that very first image that's going to be able to capture someone's attention? If
Mhm.
you are a digital or a printable seller, you need to make it very clear with like a header up top, what is it that you're selling, or a header on the bottom or something like that. Because just having a picture that you can't really tell what it is not going to get someone to stop. You want
Mhm.
someone to stop and click on you. If you're a physical product seller, you want to make sure that that picture looks beautiful and that it's really clear, really good lighting. Make sure that it's taken in a way that's going to show the entire item, not just a portion of the item. Unless it's like, maybe let's say it's a necklace and you're just showing the pendant because people are searching for pendants,
Mhm.
something like that. But something that is going to showcase the whole item, the whole product, and just make it look beautiful. People are on Etsy because they want things that look good to them. And you have to stand out in a sea of other people because
Yeah.
there's so many people that sell everything that we sell.
Yes.
So if you have your Etsy SEO dialed in, those would be the next two places I would tell you to look. But if you don't have your Etsy SEO dialed in, that would be the very first place to start.
Okay. And I did remember why I went down that tangent about all those courses was creating a good course. You said a good course, and that's where my mind went, is many of those aren't good, and for that reason I kind of fell off because
Mm-hmm.
they either didn't deliver or didn't deliver quick enough on the promise that they made,
Mm.
or they just were not good at conveying the information that was intended to be conveyed. And so yes, so picking a good course, creating a good course makes a difference. And yours is good in that you deliver on what you promise you're going to teach, and you get to it, and as one goes through the course, they get out of it exactly what you said they were going to get out of it.
That's great. I appreciate hearing that. Thank you.
Yeah. What is something that you would say is you're doing now that's working really well for you?
In my Etsy shop,
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing. I'm not joking. I'm not doing anything. So, um, when I was doing things in my Etsy shop, the things that were working really well was doing the keyword research and
Yeah.
picking the seasonal items that were going to putting them up well before the season actually started, so people could find them in time for that season or that holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the really biggest part for me.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask if you have any Etsy shop shout outs. It can be another seller on Etsy, or somebody who's doing something on the platform or within the community that you just want to share.
Yeah, so I'm totally going to hijack this a little bit. And
Go for
these
it.
two people, these two people do sell on Etsy. And then they also created courses. They're two of my friends that I actually met through that Printables group. And they are super wonderful people, super helpful, and just lovely. And they both created courses that teach you how to sell digital items, and not just printables, but also some digital items here. So the first one is Your Frugal Friend. Sasha is behind that one, and she sells printables on Etsy. She's an accountant by trade, and she does a lot of like money type of printables, budgeting type of printables. And then she has a lot of other stuff. She's branched out a lot and done a lot of different type of printables. But she has a mini course that is about creating fillable PDFs and being able to sell them in your shop. And so if you're someone who is wanting to create kind of more of a passive income, because the great thing about a printable or a digital item is that you literally post it once, you say that you've got 999 of them available, and it'll just keep refreshing anytime that anyone purchases. Etsy will send out the email and give the customer the digital item. And so you literally can be hands off, like I am this year, totally, completely hands off, and you still make money.
That's amazing.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
And so Sasha, a big thing right now is in the Etsy world, is printables that are PDFs that you can actually have make them be fillable. So like paycheck budgets, and things like that. And she teaches you how to make them so that there's formulas in them. I make it sound like it's this complicated thing, but it's actually super simple. It's so simple that it's a mini course. Like this is a small course. This is not going to take you much time to do, but she teaches you how to make these so that you can turn around and sell them in your shop. So that's the first one that I wanted to talk about. The second one is my friend Michelle, who's at the Better Grind. And she is like a project manager by trade. And so she has been doing digital notebooks in Microsoft OneNote. Before she started talking about this, I literally didn't even know what Microsoft OneNote was. I've never used it before in my life. And so I took her course and I was just like, oh, this is so easy. Like I've made digital planners before. And there's a lot of great digital planner stuff out there, but I've never done one on OneNote. It is so simple on OneNote, and it's free. So you don't have to have like I don't even have like Word or Excel on my home computer because I just use everything in Google Suite. I don't want to pay for that stuff. So it's totally free to have the Microsoft OneNote on your computer and to design in it. And so that's a weird untapped market that I never would have thought actually exists. But there is a ton of people buying OneNote planners or digital notebooks on Etsy, which is super strange to me. But people buy them, and she has a whole shop built around this, and she makes a lot of money just selling these OneNote planners. And so she just made a course so that everyone else can also make that same money with these notebooks, which it just blew my mind when I learned that she was making these, because it's just so simple to make.
That's wild. Okay, I also don't use Microsoft Office Suite. I have Apple. I mean, I know there's Microsoft for Apple, but I don't. I use Google. So is OneNote like a digital note-taking app?
So there's like two versions of it. It was very confusing to me until she explained it in her course, but there's a version that you can download to your computer that is totally free. And a lot of people in business use it. So it can be an app, but it also is a program on your computer. And luckily Microsoft makes it available for free. They don't have it with the suite, so you don't have to actually pay for it. So you can design things in this completely free and then sell them.
Wow. Is
I know.
OneNote for Windows only, or do they have a version for Apple iOS?
I'm pretty sure they've got it for both.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that she has it on both. Um, I'm thinking about that. Yes, they do have it for both, because she talks about that in the course.
Okay. All right. So Michelle and Sasha, I will have links to both their courses and their websites so folks can check them out and see, hey, if you're still trying to decide on a niche, it sounds like these ladies have found, like, not, I shouldn't say untapped, but maybe niches that aren't quite as crowded. And if you want to like really hone in on providing a particular type of product, maybe check them out. I'm going to check them out myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Angie, if anyone has any questions and they want to get in touch with you, what are the best ways they can connect with you?
Yeah, so my website is thecelebrationbird.com, or my email is Angie@thecelebrationbird.com. It's really simple. Either way is probably going to be the best way to reach out to me.
Okay. And do you do any social media at all? No.
Nope. I have, I mean, I do Pinterest
Yeah.
ish,
Oh yeah, you said that.
but other than that, I don't actually. And that's a deliberate choice on my part because
Yeah.
I need to, it doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't give me life to be on social media. I
Yeah.
have a personal Facebook page, but other than that, like I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And so I just do what brings me joy, and that's not social media.
I have to say it's encouraging to hear that because, and I know even here on the podcast, a lot of times, a lot of the guests I talk to do use social media, and but the common thread I found is that people find success when they do what works for them, when they do what
Mm-hmm.
really connects with them. For you, it's not social media. It's,
Mm-hmm.
something else is working for you. And for some people, they might just be Pinterest geniuses and
Yes.
that works. And that's their path to finding success. And so one of the takeaways I am walking away with from talking with you is to find joy in how I run my business and not necessarily try and follow what someone else is doing if it just is not resonating with me personally.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's so important is that you have to enjoy what you're doing, because if you're just following someone else's templates or someone else's guides and not doing any thinking of your own about if it's going to be fulfilling for you, you're
Yes.
just going to be miserable. And I don't want to be miserable doing a side hustle. I want it to be fun, you know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Angie, thank you so much for being my guest. Again, if you want to check out Angie's course, her website is thecelebrationbird.com. It's your Eshop makeover. I will have a direct link to it in the show notes for this episode over at convome.com. Angie is wonderful. She's very responsive. So if you want to email her with questions first, here I am putting you out there, Angie, but I'm telling people email her,
Go ahead.
ask your questions first, get your
Yes.
clarification before you invest. Personally, I think it's a wonderful investment. I have done it myself. I got everything out of it that Angie promised, and when I finish implementing, I promise you I will come back on here and tell you, now go and look at my before and after so you can see the difference that the course made in just guiding me with my branding. And Angie, I thank you for that. I thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm so excited. I mean, you could honestly be a professional hype woman. You just made me feel so good today. So thank you.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad. And I thank you for listening to another episode of the podcast. I will be back with another one next week. If you have enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider supporting the podcast. You can do that over at convome.com/support. And I will be back with another episode next week.